Looks like we were about 10 or 15 seconds away from wheels down here. There is a contingent that is waiting at the airport to greet the president. And then we do have crews over there at SAFT America right now. We understand there's a crowd of about 200 to 250 that will listen to the president's remarks. This company had been singled out during his first term as one that he would give financial impetus to help turn the economy around. If you remember, there was a great deal of economic malaise when the president took office. And the president's economic stimulus program was meant to put American manufacturing back on the map. There is some speculation that later today, when the president makes his remarks, I believe that's supposed to be about 1:50 this afternoon, he may offer another economic stimulus program. That, again, is speculation. But there is word that that may meet with some opposition from the Republicans in Congress. Ashley Mitchum's on the ground there at the Cecil Commerce Center. Ashley.
Yes, I am, and we just saw Air Force One make touchdown here at Cecil Airport. We are following it right now. Of course, you have the escorts behind a couple of SUVs there, Secret Service out here. A very exciting moment here for about 100 people. We have military members out here as well as community members who are getting to see Air Force One land in Jacksonville. Now, I want to talk about this aircraft. It's very incredible because it is going to take a while to get over here. It is capable of refueling midair, so they can go as long as they want to go up in the air if there's ever an emergency. Onboard electronics are hardened to protect against electromagnetic pulse, and Air Force One is also equipped with advanced secure communications equipment, allowing the aircraft to function as a mobile command center in event of an attack on the United States. So this is an incredible aircraft here that is landing in Jacksonville. Again, a very secured event that we are at. In fact, here we go. It's making its turn. It's getting a little bit closer to us. This aircraft has 4,000 square feet of floor space on 3 levels, including an extensive suite for the president that features a large office, lavatory, and conference room. Air Force One includes a medical suite that can function as an operating room in case something happens on board, and there's a doctor always on board if there is an emergency. The plane's 2 food preparation galleys can feed 100 people at one time. Air Force One has quarters for people who are also on board with the president, including senior advisors, Secret Service officers, traveling press, and other guests. And as you can see, it's making its way a little bit closer to us. We do have someone here, a very special man who is going to be able to greet the president. He is from NAS Jacksonville. He's a commanding officer there. His name is Captain Howard Wanamaker, and he is standing by right now to greet the president. We're told that he is the only person who will be greeting him from the ground here, so that's quite an honor for him. And as I said, the other 100 people here, we have families, we have young children, all on their phones right now taking photos, but we're going to follow this aircraft here until it lands, until you can see President Obama walk out. Now, again, this plane is incredible. It's landing now right on time, which is amazing because usually these things run a little bit later than usual. President Obama is going to be here at SAFT America on the west side. It's a company over here, and he'll be there for quite a while. They're supposed to depart today around 4:45. We will be here for the departure as well. It's pretty loud out here. Bruce, if you can hear me still.
I can, Ashley. If you can hear me, we noticed there are a number of other planes there.
Here it comes. Yeah, I can hear you.
There are a number of other planes there on the ground in and around the tarmac where Air Force One is now taxiing. It's interesting to note that those planes actually are based at Cecil Field, and there's runway construction work that's going on. Had that runway construction work been complete, the president might not be landing there at the Cecil Airport, might be at NAS Jackson instead.
Absolutely. And, you know, in fact, that is something that we were told by the NAS Jacksonville people who are out here, that was one of the reasons why they decided to come to Cecil Airport. Again, you know, we're on the west side. We're not too far from the business that he's going to be touring, so it is a convenience factor. But as you can see here, this aircraft has landed. It's incredible. If you're into airplanes like I am, it's just an awe to see this in person. Now, at this point, what we're seeing is them preparing to open the doors and to let everyone out. So we're going to get a glimpse of who is on the aircraft, because at this point, they haven't told us.
Well, basically, you'll see the presidential contingent get off first. The president may deplane 5 or 10 minutes after they go ahead and first open the door. It will be interesting to see, Ashley, whether or not there are any local politicians of note who flew in with the president. If that happens, it's usually done so that the president can make a political statement locally. The president will bound down those steps. Any idea how big the motorcade is? It looks like they're pulling into the foreground right there.
They are. Let me see here. We have about 1, 2, 3, 4 vehicles that I can see. Well, no, we have a lot more than that. Maybe like 10 or 12. They are definitely in formation at this point, and we have, of course, the Secret Service leading that motorcade. We have JFRD out here. We have Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, all sorts of vehicles here in the motorcade, because in case there's an emergency, there needs to be preparations for that. Now, as far as last time he was here 3 years ago, I remember Corrine Brown was on the aircraft, so we will be looking out to see if she's here again this time. And of course, I'll let you know who's going to get off the plane. That
was when the president visited NAS Jackson. I was actually out there covering it. You can see that the presidential limo is staging right now. You can tell it's a presidential limo because it has the seal on the side, the American flag flying as well, and the presidential flag. This motorcade will swiftly take the president to the Saft American plant, and he will tour the plant. I think that tour is scheduled to begin at about 1:30, so about an hour from now, and then we'll hear some formal remarks from Mr. Obama starting at about 1:50. I don't know if you were watching our coverage earlier, but Tarek Miner was talking about the fact that it is a Saft American employee who is going to be introducing the president. There you get your first view of the hatch.
Oh, okay.
You can see that the door is now open.
Yep, here we go. A lot of excitement.
President's media or military liaison who has opened the door. Is there a red carpet out there, Ashley?
I don't see a red carpet at this point. It could be blocked from my point of view, but I'm not seeing one. I think typically that they roll that out, though, so we might not be at that point.
Right. They will probably wait for the others to deplane.
Captain Wanamaker. Yeah, and just to let you know, so you know who Captain Wanamaker is, the man who will be greeting President Obama. He is the one wearing the white hat. I know we have a lot of other Navy members, and they're wearing the Navy-colored ones, but he's wearing the white hat, so not sure if you can see him over the car or not. Could be blocking your view.
Let me tell you a little bit about the presidential state car. It's affectionately nicknamed the Beast Cadillac One, the first car, but its code name is Stagecoach. It's the official car of the President of the United States. Current model is a unique Cadillac. It's built upon a medium-duty truck platform. It's equipped, as Ashley was talking about, with a number of life-saving, offensive, and defensive measures, and is built to not only the United States Secret Services standards, but Cadillacs as well. And the vehicle, if you could look around the back there, has D.C. license plates. How far are the people who are greeting the president?
Oh, yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, how far are the people who are staged there to watch the president bound off Air Force One to the airplane itself?
Okay, not far at all, and that's what I was going to say, Bruce. So again, covering this 3 years ago being out here, we were very far away. So this year being here at Cecil Airport, we're going to get a great view of the president as he exits, as well as the people who are here to see the president in person. They are just adjacent to me, so not far at all. Again, it really is incredible how close we're getting, because usually, again, it is secured. Oh, here he is. Take a look. And we do see Corrine Brown with him. She is walking out. There's Mr. President.
Can I tell you, last time Corrine Brown flew with the president, she actually was in the station the next day, and she looks at me, she says, "Hey, look what I got off of Air Force One. It's some of the presidential notepad." And she says, "Do you want a piece of it?" And I actually still have it. There's the president being greeted by...
Oh, that's awesome, Bruce.
Being greeted by
I'm
Captain
sure there's...
Wanamaker.
Yes. Yes.
And that's, I'm being told that that's Patrick Murphy, who was who is with the president. I'm assuming that they will ride in the motorcade
Who's with
Mr.
them?
Obama. As you pointed out, the president not expected to make any remarks.
Typically, no, he's just going to get straight in the motorcade, and they're going to drive away. And then, of course, we'll see them back here around 4:30 this afternoon after they visit SAFT America. So again, a pretty cool opportunity, and we're going to speak to some of these people out here. Once Mr. President drives away, we're going to be allowed to speak to the members of the community as well as the military members who are out here about getting to see the president in person and this very cool opportunity.
Oh, the president's walking out toward the crowd.
He's coming closer.
It
looks like he's coming to the crowd. Definitely not expected this. He's in the crowd greeting the people.
I can tell you the Secret Service detail is never happy when the president goes off script, but how often does he come to Jacksonville? And he obviously was warmly greeted, heard the cheers of the crowd, and decided he wanted to come by and say hi.
Yeah.
And you notice that the presidential...
I mean, honestly, you know... I was going to say the Secret Service is prepared for anything and everything to happen. So, like you said, they probably don't like it too much, but I'm sure they were prepared for something like this.
Yeah, I remember during his inauguration, he actually had gotten out of the car, and he and Michelle walked most of the way. And I remember there being some reports from some friends of mine who were in D.C. were like, it creates for some very tense moments, but hey, he is the president, and if he wants to get out and greet and meet the people and shake some hands, then he certainly will. Any idea who makes up this crowd that's there to greet him today?
Well, we were trying to speak with them beforehand, but I'm telling you, Secret Service is so strict out here, which obviously for good reason. We couldn't even speak to the people yet. I can tell you I see families. I see military members, our local military members here. And, you know, really just all types of people from all walks of life, older, younger. Really every race out here, all types of people. So not sure how they got the opportunity to be out here, but I will be finding that out after this.
You know, it's kind of funny to watch everybody. You've got people with traditional cameras and people with their cell phone cameras, a couple of people trying to get, you know, what would be tantamount to a selfie with President Obama. He seems to be trying to reach out to as many people as he can.
I know. Do you see the iPad?
I do.
Absolutely. I know, I love the guy holding the iPad. That's hilarious, but that's technology for you. So he's getting his picture, as well as I am trying to as I'm live on air. I'll be honest.
Hey, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Yeah, he's actually hanging around quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, and there's so many. This is very unexpected. You know, definitely we were not told he was going to do this, but the crowd seems to be loving it, so he's going with it.
Well, you know, watching as this started to unfold, because I've covered a number of presidential visits in my career, he bounded off Air Force One, came to the base of the steps, was met by the captain from NAS Jax, and it looked like he was getting ready to go into the limo and then went, oh, there's a bunch of people over there, let me go and say hi. So I'm sure that this is very impromptu and unscripted. All right, looks like he's making his way back to the presidential limo at this time.
Yep.
By the way, the
yes,
Secret
he
Service...
is. He's about to get in as we speak and head over to SAFT.
The Secret Service actually keeps the presidential motorcade's route a secret for security reasons, and there is often a decoy car that they employ to just thwart any attempts. There you see two Secret Service agents in the foreground there.
That's cool, Bruce. I didn't know that, but I do see another vehicle that looks just like the one he got into. So maybe that's the decoy, and again, they may go in different directions. That's pretty smart for you. They know what they're doing. Very impressive men and women out here. I mean, it took us hours to get cleared to even come out here. You know, it's definitely a secure facility.
Well, what they do is they come through with bomb-sniffing dogs, and they sweep the area. They make sure that there are no unidentified packages laying around. They basically set up a perimeter, and they make sure that nobody who is not supposed to have access can access the area where Air Force One touches down or the president. Looks like those Secret Service agents are looking and getting ready to go ahead and stage back in their own vehicle. They will follow behind the presidential motorcade very closely until he gets to Saft America. And those planes, we see 3 of them right now.
Absolutely. And, you know, we're going to stay out here all day.
Go ahead.
The other planes, Bruce?
Yeah,
I was
they're
gonna
the
say,
ones.
are you talking about the other planes?
Yeah, they're the ones we were talking about that would normally be over at NAS Jax, but because of the runway construction, they can't be. Presidential motorcade pulling away right now.
Right, right. Here they go.
Look at the presidential
So we'll
flag
stay out
flapping in
here,
the breeze.
Bruce, and obviously we'll wait for President Obama to come back, and we will come on live air again so you can see Air Force One leave, which is even more incredible. It'll definitely and literally blow you away with how powerful these engines are. So we'll bring you that later today around 4:30, 4:45.